Hey everybody, you're listening to the Hisessions Hawaii podcast, where we talk about everything local and beyond. I'm Johnny Masato, your host, and joining me today is Kyle Shimabukuro, Devon Nekoba.
Howdy.
Before we begin, let me remind our listeners of all the ways they can stay in touch with the show. There is Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Hisessions. You can go to SoundCloud, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts and listen to the podcast. I was telling Kyle, by the way, we're getting a lot of traction on SoundCloud.
Really?
Hundreds of listens, not just 100. Like hundreds.
100.
Yeah, so that's good.
100
Thousands.
listen.
Yeah.
And not all from the same
up into
person.
the 1,000 range, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
Thank you, SoundCloud.
If you'd like to get more music on the channel, please go to patreon.com and donate. There you get more involved with the show, determine who's filmed and all that kind of stuff. We've been having issues, honestly, getting people on.
I got you one.
Scheduling, yeah, so we'll be doing that. But that's coming. And of course...
Do you want emotional support animals to come on?
Oh, yeah, we can have emotional support animals. I can work that out.
That'd be weird.
Thank you to Kupu Kupu Landscaping, Landscape Architects. You can call Kevin Yokomura, 808-722-8685 for a free estimate. I saw him at my last gig. He's doing well. He had the family with him. It was, one of those food truck things in Waikele. Nice venue.
You play the weirdest stuff, dude. I don't
just
understand how these, like, yeah. I don't know how people find you and go, hey, John,
They just
come
asked
play at our
me.
food truck event.
Yeah. Well, I'm free that day. Okay.
Okay.
And of course, Fort Ruger Market.
Yeah.
I still love the Uala poke, man. We had some of that today
Did you like
because
it?
of our
I loved it.
guest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was Alice, by the way.
Yeah. You can find Devon on Live 365 with Rella in the morning, RELLA.
There you go.
And you can find Kyle at highlifeclothing.com. All right. Now, I'm excited about this intro because I have this new thing now where it's funny because last night I was fudding around with the AI and I'm like, I wonder if AI would know who I am, right? So I typed in, do you know who John Yamasato is? And it gave a whole description of me and what I do and all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And so I started going, okay, well, what about Devon? What about Kyle? Dude, they even have a bio on Kyle.
Nah.
Yeah, and Kyle's not, and I don't mean
surprised.
I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just that Kyle's kind of a private person. He's not a big. He don't like to push himself out publicly, you know. But it said, they said there's many Kyle Shimabukuros, but is this the one you're looking for? Founder of High Life Clothing, blah blah blah. Blah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ah.
So I thought
Spooky.
now I'm gonna do these intros by doing the AI, and then the wonderful Alice Inoue is
Let's
our
hear
guest
it.
today.
Yeah.
So you can say if this is accurate or not.
All right.
Although I did kind of I didn't write everything, but it says Alice Inoue is a life expert, founder of Happiness U. She was born in San Francisco, raised in Taiwan, and later made her mark in Hawaii. She's an expert in astrology and feng shui. She's written 9 award-winning books on self-growth and happiness. Is that you?
Yeah, so far so good. Even though feng shui is a past hat that I used to wear, but yes.
That is so. Isn't it crazy?
I like the fact that she was born in San Francisco because we share that.
Oh, we do.
We do.
What hospital were you
That's
born
why
at?
we like this. It was French's hospital.
Oh, okay. I was at the
That was
Kaiser.
good, John.
But yeah, so now I can type in because
Well,
even
not good him, good AI.
Yeah. But you know what we should do the next podcast?
Ah.
Is just AI our own introductions and read it.
Oh,
See what
okay. Oh,
happens.
you write an introduction.
Oh,
Okay,
boy.
okay.
Yeah.
No, but you know what's funny? Even my wife, I put her name in there.
Yeah.
And granted, a lot of it was she is the wife of John.
Oh, that's not good. Okay.
But, because she's not a public. She's not in the public, But I was pretty surprised. They had information. They had my kids' names. She.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
That's spooky.
It said
Did
because
it have
of
Kyle's
her.
dog's name?
No, I didn't have Kyle's
Oh,
dog's
okay,
name.
got it.
Yeah, but yeah, AI is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we were having that conversation on AI.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
During lunch. And you were saying that there is a lot that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I've been into it since about 2016. And so I started talking about it publicly in my annual forecast about how the world is going to change moving forward. And I actually said 2025, 2026, we're going to see some shifts so profound that it will change how we live.
In a good way or a bad way?
I think everything can be looked at as both good or bad, right? So there's the advantages and the disadvantages, but I don't think we can stop this wave. It's huge. It's really huge. The stuff that you know of that you're seeing already is is pretty, like you said, like, wow, how do they know this about me? I'm in these AI groups where they actually analyze everything that's coming out every week, and we are so far advanced. There's such capabilities that have not even yet come to the mainstream, which we'll see at the end of this year, early next year. I mean, there's so many things that are shifting.
Is it going to come from the China side or from
everywhere? It's huge competitions
because
everywhere.
that was the big thing.
The big
That was the
Dixie,
big
yes.
boom,
So
right?
that helps, right? Everything inspires something else.
But because we're all creatives, that was the one thing I was
Yeah.
worried about. Is it going to help or hamper creativity in the future?
I think we can't discount human creativity, and but I'll just say these AIs are, when they do side-by-side comparisons from poetry to music and to comedians, actually comedian scripts, they're finding that when it's a blind study, people can't tell the difference.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because right now you can visually tell on photographs how it looks. AI looks looks
on
fake.
what?
If you look at photographs or Photoshop AI
photographs.
stuff, on the computer,
Yeah.
I can tell right off the bat. that
Okay,
it's
so
fake.
you haven't seen some of the latest ones where
Yeah.
they have you say which one is AI, A or B, which one is A or B. And if you actually do that, like it's the ones that I've seen, the tests that they've shown how
Yeah.
good they are, you can't tell.
The one thing I saw that was telltale is look too perfect. Everything looks too perfect. But I think now they're probably adding flaws in it.
I don't
right?
know, but yeah. I mean, it was back then the giveaway was 6 fingers.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
But yeah, now it's actually, I took the test and thinking like, oh, I know so much, and I actually was wrong on so many of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let's go do this because Alice, I found to be amazingly interesting. Just in the few minutes we were sitting out there, this is the first time I think we've really
Yes.
talked. I've bumped into you a couple
Yes.
places, but so you are, as Kyle puts it, like a Renaissance woman. Like you kind of got your mind is into so many things, from spiritual to technical and all this kind of stuff. So, were you always that type of person, like a really like I have to be doing something person, or
I think I'm just curious.
you're just a curious person? Yeah.
And I think as a child, being starting out as an only child, and then
Hey.
yes,
Only child,
in
okay.
the beginning,
She said starting out.
starting out as an only child.
Okay.
That changed. But
All
yeah.
right.
But always, and being such an extreme introvert, you have to entertain yourself, right? So I'm a learned extrovert. So I do a lot of things publicly, but it's learned. I'm not, when I take these behavioral tests, I'm a 99% introvert. So because I'm an introvert, I spend a lot of time in my inner world, right? And so that's where all the creativity and all the curiosity, and then once I get an idea, then I want to generate it and bring it out. So yeah.
What age did you figure out that you're comfortable bringing it out?
It's an ongoing process. I think it's
yeah?
just, when you're ready, you do. And it's traumatic. Like, I never thought of myself as someone who would stand in front of others and do speaking and that kind of thing, because I was the person who, I don't think I ever asked one question in college, in high school. I never raised my hand because of that being that painfully shy person. So, yeah. So I went to Toastmasters. I learned all kinds of stuff, how to be public.
Okay. With regards to people being introverted, there's also the idea that you have a social battery. So for you as an introvert, right, your social battery actually drains when you have to do all this external stuff. So how do you manage that?
I spend a lot of time alone. So I do all my public things, all my sessions, everything, all my presentations, my trainings. I do that on certain days, and then I have days where I might not talk to a single person. Yeah, to recharge.
You're a lot like John.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested in taking this personality
Yeah.
test because I've always tried to figure out what I'm like.
Oh, I'll send it to you. Yeah, we have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And because I'm always in the spotlight of things, but I don't want to be there.
Yeah, so we could tell that in your astrological chart, but there's
Oh.
there's four kinds of introverts, right? Like the old days, like you're an extrovert, you get energy from being with people. You're an introvert, you get energy by being alone. But there's four types of introverts they found, and one is like a pensive introvert. So in other words, you are introverted simply because you need time to process, right? Then there's like a social introvert because you're awkward in social situations. So it's not like you lose energy being with people, you just don't know what to say, and that stresses you out. Right, so there's
Okay.
all
That's
kinds
John.
of introverts. Yeah. So
And then 3 and 4?
then there's pensive, which is a reflective. There's the traditional introvert where you need energy by being together. And then there's another one, I can't remember, it's like a reticent introvert. It takes you time to warm up, and once you've warmed up, then you're fine, right? So there's a distinct difference between an introvert that actually gets energy from being alone versus the other three, which are introverts, but they need time to either process or to warm up.
I'm the last one.
Yeah, I think.
What?
Now as a life
Wait,
coach.
what? What?
What? Sorry.
You're
Yeah,
the
but-
last
but-
one?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because I like more one-on-one conversations and spending time with one-on-one
Yeah.
than group.
Yeah.
You know, and if I'm in a group, I'm like just kicking back until it's
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
I feel okay. You know.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Really?
Devon's an extrovert.
Yeah.
You think?
Extroverts have a
I'm an
hard
extrovert
time
because I got
understanding.
beat up. I got beat up in 6th grade, and I became an extrovert. That was the only reason I became.
So you're a
an
learned
extrovert.
extrovert.
Yeah, I'm definitely a learned extrovert. But the reason he's sitting in the back is because everybody comes to him.
No. Anyway, so introvert.
Well, I was gonna say, so as a life coach, you help people move through introverts or toward extrovert or however they want to be perceived? Is
Yeah.
that part of being a life coach?
So I kind of like, so life coach is what everyone started talking about, like, oh, a life coach, right? So I realized that I'm not like coaching you in your life. I think of myself more as a guide. So I just decided to call myself a life guide because I feel like I guide you through life. So what does that mean? It means that if you have a challenge, you have a problem, you have a situation, then I help give you options to move through it. So mostly for me, it's changing perspective. Like everything that you are dealing with, if I can help you see it from a different angle, you can possibly find relief from it. And then we can possibly think of some strategies to move through it. Right? So it's all perspective. Everything is perspective. How you think of someone, how you think of a situation, it's a story you created.
But you
I
also, what's fascinating for me is, we've known each other a while.
A while, yes.
But through every iteration that you've been through, it seems like you're always right there where a wave is starting. Sorry, I'm using a surfing metaphor, even though I don't surf. But you're always at the very beginning part of the wave.
Yeah.
And then, like, the thing is going, and there's Alice, and she's taking care of the thing. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, wait, life guide. And then you're on the life guide thing, and then you're doing that. And then it's the AI thing. And I'm like, how do you anticipate? It's amazing that you anticipate these things so clearly, because every time that you decide to change and do something different, you always seem to be on the cusp of the thing happening.
Yeah.
And then once it starts to happen, you get it moving, you're super successful at it, and then you go, that's cool.
Once it's a party wave and there's 15
and like
guys
all
on
these
it,
people
then
jump
you
on.
just
you're
go,
like,
I go
I'm
move
out.
on.
I'm gonna go to that break over there.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's
It
fascinating.
is
'cause-
uncanny, yeah.
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 I don't know how that.
Yeah, I
happens.
think what it is I think if you think every single person here has a gift, right? Something that you bring to the world, right? In the form of whatever. I think what I do is I'm really good at translating. So what that means is I grew up speaking English and Chinese, and I learned Japanese. So I learned how to translate, right? Then I learned about the stars and astrology. So I learned to translate. What does the sky say to you? Then I learned about the environment, feng shui. So what is the environment saying to you? So I take complex concepts and break them down. So whenever there's a new concept that's coming out, whether it's AI, whether it's feng shui, whether it's astrology, whatever it is, whether it's helping people in life, I always think to myself, like, how can I make this easier for people to access it? Once I create the access point, then all the other people are accessing it, and then I can go on to kind of pioneer something else.
How do you educate yourself? Is it mostly you just binge YouTube stuff, or you listen to podcasts, or how do you educate yourself on these things that are coming up?
In the old days, it was reading, right?
Yeah.
And then it was website, and then it was learning, traveling the world, learning from whoever is the expert at whatever it is I'm interested in. And then now I think, you kind of, always learning, but you form your own ideas and your own, belief systems about how things work. And so I kind of trust myself in that arena. Yeah.
Now, you've been able to become an expert at many things. Do you feel like once you've learned how to, there's actually a process of how to become an expert at something. So now that you've done it, you can apply that same process toward new ideas.
Yeah, because I think what I love is life, right? So we're all living life. And whatever happens in life to us is a challenge, right? Sometimes when things happen that we don't want to happen. So I just feel like every single thing I learned is a piece of life. And so as you put puzzles together, the picture becomes clearer. So the older I get, the more understanding I have of the pieces of life, right? And then of course, working with tens of thousands of people, you can't help but understand that there's as many perspectives as there are people, as many ways to handle something as there are. So you start to lose judgment on things, because I can talk to you, and two of you are completely opposite, but if I can understand both of you, I have full perspective. And so I think perspective is huge in life.
She also officiates weddings, by the way.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I know.
For 10 years I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the first female. Yeah, I
See,
I was.
that's
Yeah,
what I mean. Like,
I was a
before
female
it became
doing
a
it. Yeah,
thing where people would say, "Yeah, let's go get an officiant to come and do this for us," who's not necessarily a priest.
that's right.
And then
I was there.
Alice is doing weddings
Yeah, I figured
now.
out a way to get ordained, and I had figured out a way to create my own ceremony, and then I ended up training about 17 women men to become officiants, and then I decided to open Happiness U, and then that was the end of that. Yeah.
So to tell us a little bit about Happiness U, what is that?
Happiness U is an educational establishment. We were in person in Salt before we had a little studio, but since then we're kind of gone online. But all Happiness U does is, I want you to think of like the school of life. So the simple answer is, we help people and organizations find solutions to their challenges in whatever way, shape, or form that takes. So if you're a huge multi-billion-dollar company and you need to have your people get along better, I've created an assessment for that. You're a person and you're just but you're a cashier somewhere and you're just making $10 an hour and you have a problem, I can help you with that. So it doesn't matter. I think people, organizations, we all have the same issues and we can approach it the same way. With the tools are all the same.
And how do you? Sorry, John.
No.
I guess. How does one put a price tag? Is the wrong word to say for it, but like, because you do this business, you're not doing this business because, hey, I want to help all these people, because that's part of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have to eat. And
Oh,
you have
absolutely.
To, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
no, it's a business.
So,
Absolutely.
I'm curious, like, as far as coming up with a business plan, how did you? Because again, as with everything else you've done, you're before everything else, right?
Yeah.
You're like before
Yeah.
this wave of people
Yes.
doing this thing. So you're coming up with this Happiness U thing, and
Yeah.
people are going, "Wait, you're doing what now? And how do I pay you? How do I?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you?
I'm a
monetize
scammer,
it?
basically. I just tell people, give me money and I'll make you happy. But, you just think of levels. If you can afford, if you have a lot of money, you might have time with me. You have a little money, you might buy one of my books. You have not so much money, you might watch a free podcast or, something.
Yeah,
So there's all different levels of ways to impact people through multiple ways. So I think over time, the business model really is just paying for the value. And
Yeah.
over time, the value has changed, right? The more I know, the more I charge, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah. So,
I was always just curious about that, because
Yeah.
you're able to shift and move and morph with the times, but each time that happens, you're always like super happy and super helpful for people.
Yeah.
And then I go, how does Alice do this? Because like, I don't know how you pay for stuff. So I'm like,
no,
because
exactly.
every time
Yeah.
when I speak to you about it, and every time you're on camera or
Yes.
whatever, there's a joy that permeates the conversation that happens, right?
Yeah.
And people have a hard time with joy. And
Yeah,
especially nowadays,
yeah,
the
of
joy
course.
is not something that you go, oh, that's cool. I would pay money for that joy,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
that's not how people are looking at it nowadays.
Yeah, and I think it's work, right? I think, so number one, the business model, I actually did not know, I didn't get an MBA or anything like some of the people that have had higher education. So it's really just like immersing yourself for 2 months and figure out how to write a business plan and get a loan, and how to figure out, and I did it on like a membership, like a gym membership. So like you're a member of Happiness U, you pay $30 a month and you get access to so much, right? You want more access, then you pay a higher amount. So if you garner enough members, like your Patreon channel, right? The more people you get, the more you can scale up. So having things that I can scale, as well as things that that I can't scale, that come at a premium, right? My time.
That's amazing.
And then, of course, you have to provide something that's valuable, right? And that's what she's
Yes.
doing.
Did you have a bump in increase of membership during COVID?
I did. I did a lot. Yeah. That was a huge time because we were ahead of the curve because I had started Happiness You, and there's no such thing as a life coaching guidance school. The bank was like, why don't you just do it online? Because like, why are you going to invest all this money in a lease and build out? But I really felt like I wanted a place where people could come together and, connect. Right? If you're happy, I want to see you laugh. If you're tearing, let me give you a tissue. So I really wanted that in-person experience. And then COVID came. We had to close our thing, but we went online. So it was fine.
And do you have a staff that helps you?
I've built what's the way that it's been conservative for me to be able to run a fairly decent business is through virtual assistants. I have multiple assistants that handle different aspects of the business so that I don't have to create a space for them, have a computer for them.
But do you create have you been able to create a Alice Jr.? You can say, okay, well, if you, because obviously you're you're the one that they want to talk to, so, right? But you go, oh boy, if you can't get me.
You have Alice AI. I have a clone, that you can talk to.
Really?
Yeah, and you can get guidance from my clone.
AI thing.
Yeah, I have. She's called Alice. So think about my name, Alice Inoue AI. So there's a lot of AI with AI. But anyway, Alice, I have a clone that I actually had built over right when the clones started coming out, and now you're going to see more of them. But in my Happiness You Hui, you can actually talk to Alice AI 24/7 as part of your membership fee.
Can you explain what this is? How did you get a clone?
It's freaking Kyle out, and me too.
All it is so of ChatGPT, right? You use this for that. So it's built on the ChatGPT platform, but I've inputted all my podcasts, or anytime I've been interviewed, all my presentations, all my books, like all my knowledge, like what people ask me, so that if you ask a question to Alice AI, what is happiness, it'll be my answer from one of my books, and then I can talk you through challenges and problems as an AI, and that way it doesn't take my time, right?
Wow.
That's crazy.
You should do a John AI.
John AI?
Yeah.
It's getting easier and easier. I mean, when
John's AI is going to be like, I don't know.
It'll just sing to you, right? You just like tell me.
Do you talk to yourself?
Do I talk to myself? I do. Sometimes I go. I will test in my AI to calibrate it, right? Yeah. And then if I don't like the answer, I'll say, no, I want you to answer it this way. Yeah.
Wow. How close do you feel it is?
That's pretty crazy.
It's pretty
to
good.
You.
It's pretty good. People say it's brought them to tears because because in the middle of the night you can talk to me and I can give you some comforting words.
Does it have your voice, or is it just text right now?
No, right now it's text right now.
It's a matter of time.
I'm gonna.
I gotta admit, it'd be weird if I heard Alice's voice. It's like 2:00 in the morning. I'm going, wait.
But that's reality, right?
It is. In a year, I'll probably have a virtual. I'll have an avatar that speaks that sounds like me. I'm working on that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, John? In a year, we'll go. Can you sing this song in the style of Pure Heart and John Yamasato?
Oh,
and
yeah.
you'll just spit it out.
I mean, the only thing
already can do it.
Yeah, the only thing that's stopping is right now because they have copyright issues.
Yeah.
But what's that song we came up with? Fat Guy on a Horse or something?
Fat Guy on a Horse. Yeah.
When we first were playing around with AI, we're like, okay, well, let's come up with a song, and it was Fat Guy on a Horse or something. And we were like, what?
And the lyrics are really good.
Yeah. Oh, that is going to be kind of trippy. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I scale myself right now.
But I mean, in terms of that personal touch, because there's Alice, right? Who I know, who they know. There's this AI Alice. How do you? I don't know, because you said you're an introvert. Like, how do you maintain that? Do you, like you were saying, right? You have a couple of days where you're just like, I don't know, talk to anybody.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna deal with anybody.
Yeah, and it's mostly I do it. I work on my business. It's just really just the way I schedule my days. I just schedule my days so that I have time to myself. And so, like, if you had said, oh, can I do the podcast on Tuesday? Let's say I had scheduled time for myself. I would just say I would come, and then I would take that time another time. So I just know, like, I need a balance of self time and others time. Otherwise, I'm not beneficial to anyone.
Okay, because the second part of this is because you have a partner.
Yes.
You are married, and have been with him since like 25
longest
years.
engagement in the state of Hawaii, probably, but 25 years. Yeah.
They've been together for a very long time. And I don't know if we're supposed to mention his name or not. Anyway, But he is also in a business that requires him to be social, and he is not.
No, he's an extreme introvert as well.
He's an extreme introvert. So it's interesting that the two of you would get together, because my wife and I are completely opposite.
Yes, complementary opposites. Yes.
Thank God.
Well, I don't know if she would say it's complementary, but yeah. But you know, she's very introverted and I'm extroverted, and so finding that balance for the two of us can be a little bit of actually it's a lot of a struggle, right? Because she's going, we have to go to another thing. Do we need to go?
Yeah.
And so, I guess my question to you is, in your relationship, is because you're both sort of extreme on the introvert side that it actually works out, because you're like, see ya, I'm gonna go over here and go.
Well, also,
I'm gonna go in my
both
corner.
can understand how each other's feeling and support each other.
Yeah, it's really easy because we're both happy as a clam. Alone, we can not talk to each other all day long and be in the same house together, and it's not a not a I don't like you kind of thing. It's just that we're happy in our own space.
Yeah.
And then when there's events to go to, it's only if it's very rare that we'll be like put it this way, we haven't chosen to go out to dinner together. We don't go out. It's just we're happy to just hang out at home because we both get called out into the public so much.
And it's difficult, because if you go out in public, everybody knows who you are, either you or him, and so the two of you can't go 10 steps without somebody going, hey, and that.
And I don't know. I think everyone has their thing. It's I always think of when I see people that are attracted to each other, you're either attracted to someone like you or you're attracted to someone unlike you, so you can learn the lessons and the perspective of the other people, right? So.
Well, what was that? What was that? Because, like you said, it's been 25 years.
Yes.
It's the longest engagement. Any engagement on the man. What was the thing that drew you to each
him?
other?
Besides his ridiculous good looks.
What was it? I think it's just a vibe. You just feel like a connection with someone, and then you don't think of anything else other than, there was a connection. Then you explore the connection, and it turns out to be a good one and a long-lasting one. Yeah.
How'd you guys meet?
We met at the Honolulu Club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, back when that existed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, back then.
Now you can drive by and go, hey, remember? Yeah. It's not there anymore.
That's where, a lot of things we drive by and it's not there anymore.
Right.
That's true.
It is true.
Yeah.
The sign of the times.
So what is the, you feel that AI will be this wave that you're going to be able to ride for a while? Or will is there something else that's on the horizon that you can see?
Right now with the intersection of government and technology, we are, if, and this is not to scare anyone, but if we thought the pandemic was a huge change for how we lived and work, we haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah.
This is, we are living in extraordinary times, from economic systems to financial systems changing, right? Even I'm going to use some spiritual kind of stuff, but the vibe is shifting a lot. So this year is what we call a 9 year. So, and numerologically, you just add 2 plus 2 plus 5. That equals
math?
9.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, simple math, 9. We don't need AI, so 9. So 9 is the ending of a cycle. The next number is 1. So next year is 2026. 2 plus 2 plus 6 is 10. Add 1 and 0, that's a 1. So we're on the cusp of a huge shift. So you're going to see lots of deaths this year, lots of endings. We're already seeing endings in government. We're seeing endings in a lot of ways. You will personally, I tell you personally, you will feel like you don't resonate with this person or this group or this organization. And you're going to say, I don't know why, but I'm done. So there's a lot of completions this year, simply opening up to new beginnings. And we'll see this in parallel with what's happening in the world.
And it's only February and it's already happening.
Oh, you guys, it is. I prepared my talk that I give every year for the last 20 years. I give a talk on the world, right? 2025, what does that bring us? Astrologically, this whole AI technologically, I marry the two together. And the stuff I talked about in January, I think January 12th, I did my talk. I'm already outdated. That's how fast things are shifting.
Is it a good time right now to start new things or hunker down?
Right now, it's a good time to let go of whatever's not working for you.
Because I was going to say, you talk about ending and death, but a lot of times when you talk about death of a thing, not a person, but
there's rebirth.
Yeah,
Rebirth.
it's a start of a new whatever you're.
I think inklings of new beginnings, absolutely. But then you'll find that if we add something new, we're going to lose resonance with something else. There's only so much capacity each of us have to handle. So whatever you're done with, this is like my big message. If you're feeling done, you're done. You can't hold on to something that you've sort of graduated from. So lots of graduations. Graduations. Just think of hobbies, think of ways, think of your show, think of anything. You'll start to say, hey, is it time to try something new? I didn't tap the table. The time to stop. Subconsciously, I knew to stop there. But yeah, so you'll feel it's time, and it really is time because there's a renewal that's happening. There's a renewal.
Let's hope we renew me getting a job at some point in time.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, could be the ending of no job and the beginning of a new possibility, or something else. Yeah, we're living in really extraordinary times. And Hawaii's we're at an advantage because we can kind of look over the ocean and kind of see it happening. I think things happen here a lot more slowly. So let me give you an example. If I'm telling people that we need to get ready for something new, well, what does that mean? Well, we already see how AI is shifting jobs and the ability to be productive in different ways. But think about this. If I don't figure out what my next step is, do you know that there's sites, AI life coaching sites, $20 a month, and you can get awesome life guidance. I already tried them.
Is that like BetterHelp and all that stuff?
Oh, just as it's not a person, but if you're like, that's why I have to stay in the times. Otherwise, like, why would you pay money to see me when you can just do it and get guidance right online? Another thing that's interesting is, so not just that. Yeah, I do virtual presentations, right? I do a lot, like for the mainland, like wellness and whatever it is that people might want. There are avatars that do that now that they can pay this much for. So how do I stay relevant and valuable in this time when I'm charging premium rates to show up, right? So now in person could become more valuable. So people are basically going to pay more for people, but there's so much that's happening.
I think it has to swing back in that direction, though.
Yeah,
where people, like you were saying, you know how when you're doing your pictures, right? You can obviously tell art that's been he says you can create art, but the art created by AI, you can tell the difference. I think at some point in time, hopefully, there will be a time where people go, well, there is that AI thing, but I think I'd rather see Alice in person and have her give
I
the
believe so.
right?
You're right, absolutely. That whole thing of that swing, it's just novelty right now. There's a lot of like, oh my God.
And
but as
it's
it
cheaper,
settles,
which is not necessarily better. But
it's good. But yeah, so I think we're just going to have to play it out, but it causes a lot of fear, right? A lot of times, like what about my job or my livelihood, and look at expenses. So there's a lot to navigate in life now that we didn't say 20, 30 years ago, right?
Yeah. I mean, bringing it back to the music things is I keep talking to people about how nowadays on tour, there's nothing to sell. We don't have a physical product because people don't buy CDs, I mean, and then they go, oh, why don't you switch to vinyl? And I'm like, you know how heavy vinyl is? I take 100 vinyls with me to Japan.
I have 5 records. They're $500 a piece.
So it is a mind shift that you have to have even on the music side as to how you're going to survive for all these musicians that are coming out.
Yeah.
But I believe people are creative. They figure out things.
We do. We always do. In history, when there's been huge changes, you notice that we all now start from fresh and have new ideas. So we're always going to see, even like everything that's happening in the world right now is a huge shift. And so many people don't like it. Many people like it. It really doesn't matter because it's happening, but we'll all find our new beginnings from it.
I had this thought because, I saw life coach when attached to your name, but I don't know if this is something that you could speak on or not. Maybe, but I'll throw it out there. And so I'm just curious because I'm in the sales business. And in sales business, a lot of being successful is doing tasks that you don't want to do and do them repetitively, right? And so when you try to get new agents to come in real estate and stuff like that, there's an outline of what you can do to be successful, right? And we sit there and we go through it with people. And it doesn't have to be necessarily sales. I mean, we even think about just exercise regimen, right? It's like everyone knows what to do. The hard part is just getting them to do it. And I don't know how to get people to do stuff that they don't want to do.
Yeah, you have to find something that's intrinsically motivating to them.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to do what you want to do. They want to do what they want to do, right? So the key is like, how do you get them to do this so that they benefit? So it really, it's like your kid, like you're telling your kid, clean your room. There's no like benefit to them for cleaning the room, so they're not going to. So it's a human problem.
That's why you're successful, John.
Yeah.
Because you take the time to do that stuff. Even though you hate it, and even though you wish there was an AI way to get it done for you.
Well, mine is always just, it's funny because we talk about this a lot in sales, when you're sitting around with it, like what motivates you, right? Is it fear or is it the fun of success, right? I was always motivated by fear. Like if I don't make these sales, I don't get paid, I starve.
Live on the street, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm always the type of person, I don't want to be just a little bit ahead of the game. I want to be so far ahead that if I trip, I'll never...
You still have grace.
If you're motivated by fear, how can you enjoy your career? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean...
You're scared all the time. You'd be unhappy.
There's some of that. But at a certain point, like I said, if you get so far ahead... that I feel comfortable now, like even if I stumble, I know how I can get back up and start running.
John also has 2 kids that are still in school, so the fear doesn't stop.
Yeah. But in the beginning, there was more fear than now. But I always found that an interesting thing.
It's hard. If you're going to motivate someone, or if you want someone to do something, the studies have shown that the number one way is uncertain rewards. So in other words, like if I say, oh, if you finish this job for me, I'll get you a massage, right? Okay, great. But if I say, if you finish this job for me, I have 2 possibilities for you, and here's these 2 envelopes, and one could be a boba tea and one could be a massage. And so when you work for an uncertain reward, that gets people motivated. Like, all the studies on motivation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Here's 2 envelopes. One is a 10%
whatever.
A 10% return on whatever you do for your sale, and the other one is a free boba drink.
But you don't know which one it is.
You don't know which one it is.
Yeah.
You get to choose.
Was that motivation constant when we were young? Do you think that's
motivation? We just got whipped, right? Didn't we? Like spanked into like do it or else.
This is what you
choice.
So the new way.
It's hard.
It's hard, right? But
it's hard.
I guess my question is, we're all in pretty much the same generation, grew up with the same values in the generation.
Yes.
The kids nowadays, different generation. Where is the perfect balance with that? Do we need to adapt? Do they need to come up and adapt?
It's a huge gap right now. I'm working a lot with organizations, right? So if you think about how the managers, even the millennials that we used to complain about, right? They're in their 30s, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they're dealing with Gen Zs, and actually Gen Beta just got born this year. So they're the only generation that's born with AI in hand, like the people. So they're a whole different breed. But there's this gap because the younger ones are like, life is important. The older ones are like, work is important, right? So there's a huge gap. So it all comes down to communication. So what happens? We pretty much muddle through it and figure it out, and somehow we all morph along the way, because whoever's stronger is going to win.
But what if I'm too old to morph for it?
Then you're just going to go into die into oblivion.
Well, because I've actually been noticing that throughout the past, 3 or 4 years probably. I mean, post-COVID, I think more so than any other time, is that you hear a lot of the businesses, our friends, people who own stuff, all saying, the workers now, they don't want to work.
Yeah.
We had guys come to work on our house. Yeah. And the guys are like, oh, yeah, we're supposed to get like 8 guys, but we could only get 4 because the other 4 were like, nah, I don't want to work today.
Me and John just came from a place that was staffed by only 2 people today. And nobody else just showed up.
Yeah.
They didn't call. They didn't
it's just so different. So here we are, old people talking about young people, but remember when we were young, the older people were talking about us too, right? In a certain way. So this is the time. So what they're teaching us is how to enjoy life, and we're like, how do you pay the bills? But somehow it works out. Somehow it works out.
Somehow it works. Sometimes it works out, and sometimes you just end up on the beach somewhere. and because you're in Hawaii, it's not as bad.
Yes,
because you're on the beach homeless.
Well, I just feel somewhat justified with because I used to, like I said, I used to train agents, right? And I used to work for a larger company, so we'd have training, and then these agents would come in, and we would go through, and I would explain to them, what needs to be done, and that 8 out of 10 of you will not be here in 2 years. That's the
8
turnover
out of
rate.
10?
8 out of 10. We have an 80% turnover rate in
Wow.
this business.
Wow.
And so it's very important that, and they, people would, and then, a lot of the managers would be like, no, we got to help this guy out. And at a certain point, it's like, if they're not going to do it, they're not going to do it. I mean, there's only so much we can, because it has to come from within yourself, and magically, I wish I could just bestow that upon people, but you can't.
And this is life, right? So they learn at some point that they don't make it in life, and we all learn, they all grow.
We're trying, but I don't know, man.
I
You meet
think
someone,
we grew up when we know what it's like to lose.
Yeah.
Things.
Yeah. And, we
know?
could go with the mindset of everybody's a winner and this and that.
We all
so
get trophies.
there's a lot of shifting in the mindset, right? So we all have something to learn from it, like it or not, put it that way. Yeah.
I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind making you feel better about the fact that it's going to be okay, right? But when you suck and you lose, there's a lesson to be gained from that. There's like, oh, okay, I got fired from this job because I didn't go to work every day because I decided I wanted to go surfing more. So, what is the lesson we take away from that?
Is there a consequence? So then that comes to parents, like, how much do you give? It's like, oh, all right, we'll give Johnny another $100. Like, so who's the one that's enabling that?
Yeah. You can't blame the kids. You got to blame the parents.
In some ways, too. In some ways.
And part of losing is learning, That's
it is, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know if I suck. And, my wife is very good.
And letting you know.
When I'm bad.
Actually, all three of us.
Yeah.
Our wives have absolutely no compunction about telling us when we suck.
That's why you need an AI girlfriend. They're always supportive, always
No,
loving, always.
But then we'll just be entitled and spoiled.
See, but then we're doing is getting this empty sort of feedback that we're great and we're awesome.
Yeah,
when actually we sometimes need to know that
See?
you didn't do the dishes.
I would have to tell Devon every day, you're not awesome.
See, so this is where you differ, right? Because you recognize the benefit of being held in check, whereas the people now are a little bit more like. Here's a really good example. At one of the firms that I work with, there's a feedback. Managers give feedback. They give feedback because the kids need feedback. Kids in their 20s, and one guy wasn't doing so good, so the manager said, hey, so have you been going into the app and checking like what your feedback is? And he literally said, oh, I checked it once, but it was so negative, and I don't buy into negativity. So like, no,
no.
Like that just brought me down. And the person is no longer at that firm, but you understand, right? That's the mindset. It's like, I thought it was negative. I don't want to bring negativity into my life. So no, I didn't see what my manager said.
Oh,
I want to be positive. And she's like,
well, we're positive you're not working here.
This is not working out. Yeah.
Wow.
But that's the generation that we deal with. I mean, I've been fortunate in the sense that my kids are okay with us going, dude. No, that's not how that goes.
Yeah.
But it's only because that's how I was raised. But I still try to, as much as possible, blunt it, because otherwise you get like my mom, which is, wow, you really suck, and you go, oh, okay, because
you want to try to find a balance.
My mom was his principal, so he knows exactly what it's like.
Oh, that's so funny.
And my mom is 80 now.
Yeah.
And the problem is when you turn 80, you don't give a rat's ass about
you
what
say
anybody else says.
Yeah.
You say whatever that comes to your mind. But the problem is, for my mom, I'm 15 years old still.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you know? What do you think about? How can you know? And I'm like, Mom, I know it seems really odd that I would actually know things, but I do.
Well, actually,
I do, and I'm trying to help here.
I've been on this planet 50 years now.
Yeah, like I've been here long enough. I know a couple things. I'm okay, And so and then I got to deal with my wife, who's virtually perfect. So that's not any help at all, because they just see her. My wife just sees. My mom just sees her and goes, "Oh, well, you cannot be like her." I'm like, no.
She's like a real AI. Like a human AI.
There you go.
Yeah. Except, she overheats.
So, Alice.
Yes.
I'm kidding.
Am I gonna get my dream of putting myself in my favorite movies this year?
Yeah, AI can do anything for you.
I know that's coming.
They can. No, our friend Clint does that now.
But I want it to be commercialized so that you can just buy a program and do it.
What would be the first thing you want to be in?
It's that easy.
I don't know. Maybe Die Hard.
You want to be
Yeah.
Bruce Willis?
I want to be
They
John
just gotta
McClane.
put
Yeah.
their face on the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And then you can swap out actors.
Yeah, you can make Devon be
Hans.
Nagatoshi.
Hans Gruber.
Yeah, I that's when I first heard about that maybe 6 years ago, I thought, oh, that is going to be pretty exciting.
I guess.
You know,
But
you-
like,
It's
what?
exciting
You can
and scary at the
fan-cast
same
anything.
time, though, because like even Bruce Willis himself sold his likeness, right?
Yeah.
So you'll see him forever in
Right.
movies, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
life is really changing, and
Yeah.
I think that we have to adapt with it. Otherwise, we'll just fall behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, although I was telling when we were having lunch, I saw the humanoid robots.
Yes.
That one's going to take me a while, dude.
Yeah, it's
to
a
get
little
used
weird. Yeah.
Are they?
I mean-
did it look really?
Well, what I was saying is that it has that uncanny valley of movement, so it moves kind of like a human, but it's robotic,
Yeah.
and it just the way it looks, I just feel like it's gonna at some point turn and
Try to kill you.
try to kill me, So it's
You
gonna
watched
be a while before-
iRobot one too many times.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Well, we're gonna see
But
that
then
when we go to
Alice went a
Japan,
step
maybe.
further and said that the technology she saw now is actually.
Oh yeah, there's so much that's
Yeah.
happening now in multiple ways with those humanoid robots. I mean, everything from robots for the bedroom to robots for your home.
But you said even the skin.
The skin, the
heat.
haptic skin, heat, heartbeat.
That's
Yeah.
weird.
That's
I
scary.
mean, to
Yeah.
me, like I feel, and if I were ruler of the universe, we would have them doing like labor kind of stuff,
Yeah.
like in public, and get used to them outside the house before bringing them inside the house.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's all gonna happen simultaneously.
Well, Amazon laid off about 750,000 people, and they bought these robots called I think they're called Digit, and you can go online and look for Amazon robots, and you can see them because they actually can move heavy stuff, and they walk around and take orders and do orders, and there's like thousands of them that are deployed at this point.
So what happens to all the
at
people?
$3 an hour?
Yeah, what happens to all the people that lose their jobs?
Yeah.
What are they gonna do?
Right. So I think what happens is opportunities get created. As something loses, there's no such thing as all loss, no gain. You're going to have loss and gain. The universe expands by expansion and contraction, right? So as we see this contracting here, people will find new things. That's just how it goes. So
I'm not gonna be homeless on the bridge and a robot makes a sandwich for
you
me.
have a brain. You have a brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. And I think there's if we look for opportunity, it's there. If we I mean, what's happening is huge. Like, especially for us, we're not used to this. But if you don't, we can't stop the wave. So the mindset has to be, how do we optimize it? How can I make this work, right? How can I?
Kyle, you got to imagine at one point there were horseshoe cobblers on every block because everything was horses, and people had to come and pick up the manure and move that out, and all those jobs got when the car came, they were going to say, well,
Now
what
you
happened?
can
They
pick
go
up dog
roads,
poop, Kyle.
and then there's safety people that work on cars, and then it will morph into something.
Do you think that it's gonna morph more into people being entrepreneurship
I think so.
than big corporation?
I think so, because look at the independence that we all have. It started with Uber. It started with, all of these, like Airbnb. Like, think about how the world has started to
And
move
also
more towards
influencers
that.
and OnlyFans and all this kind of
direct. You're going direct. Look at media right
Yeah.
now. It's not controlled legacy media. You're going direct to the people with your social media. Look at it's
Well,
just
but also,
it
aren't
keeps
we-
moving.
But we're also seeing a lot of like fake stuff. And
Oh, yeah,
false
lots of
stuff.
fake
it's gonna
And
get
there's
worse.
no there's no way
Discernment
to call
between
the
it.
there's no discernment,
You-
and
you think
people are
there-
just taking it for truth. And I'm going,
Yeah, do you think that
No.
there needs to be a law, or I think it is going to be a law, yeah, that it's going to state that this is AI.
There should be, but do people follow rules? No, right?
they don't.
They say like there's supposed to be like a watermark that you can
Yeah.
tell, but then there's already companies that are creating things where you can upload it and take out the watermark. So you're gonna keep. I think it'll just keep going. So you or all of us just have to pick. What do we want to do? How do we want to do it? How can we utilize the things that are there to get us to that next level? Because discernment is huge right now.
I mean, you think about Napster and how that just
How it
changed the
changed
whole
everything,
music
yeah.
industry, and people tried to fight it,
Yeah.
but
and now, John, you have nothing to sell.
I have nothing to sell.
You know what I like to do?
Yeah,
In a,
sign a picture of my face.
In exactly a year time,
Yeah.
can you come back and let's go over what changed?
oh yeah, you can have me back. I'd be happy to share.
That'd be awesome.
yeah.
Okay,
I'm-
wait, before you go though, I want to ask about horoscope stuff.
oh, I can.
Oh yeah,
She's still in
yeah,
that
I can
give,
talk
give
about
him
that.
his horoscope.
Okay, so let me just share a basic about astrology.
Okay.
Okay? because most people think it's this hocus pocus thing that you read in Cosmopolitan magazine. So every single person was born at a certain longitude and latitude, right? At a certain time. And so if we go to that longitude and latitude, look in the sky, take a picture of the location of the planets, we get what is called a birth chart. Every single person has their own birth chart. If you were born on the same day as me, but I was born at 8 o'clock and you were at 8:09, we have different charts because planets move. So I can take that chart. It's a code. It's basically a language. And I can look at the chart and I can pretty much tell you everything about yourself, where you've been and where you're going. I am not psychic. I am not going to be able to tell you what kind of job you're going to get, but I can definitely tell you when you will shift jobs, where the opportunity is. And so that's basically what it is. I got into it. I've done about 11,000 charts, people at this point. So I have seen evidence of this. So I'm not just like, oh yeah, astrology works. I'm like, for 25 years, right? All I've done on a daily basis is read charts. And so what we're able to do is literally go back in time and talk about cycles. I have
a quick question.
Yes.
Do you sleep?
I do. I sleep a full 8 hours. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you think she's so energetic all the time?
Yeah, I sleep well. I eat well. I exercise.
What if this is actually AI Alice and she's
what if I set my bot? Like I'm so busy. You're looking at the bot. But yeah, so I can talk about. So you can give me your sign. I can talk about that. But
Gemini.
You're a Gemini. Okay, so
and June 11th is one.
Okay, so without all my software and my professional software, we can just go with Gemini. So this is just one aspect of who you are, not everything, but one aspect. This is considered an air sign. So this is a communication. So anything to do with Gemini has to do with multiples. So being able to juggle multiple identities, do multiple things, probably starting a lot of things and not finishing them. So this is a very, what I call it's a strong curiosity and it's a strong communication sign. So that's about all I can say about Gemini. You're good at doing multiple things. It's hard for you to sit down and do one thing. Your mind is always moving. Your mouth is always moving. So that is a Gemini trait. But then you're also much more than that. There's like thousands of things in your chart that make up the layer of who you are. But we have a show. Can I talk about the show?
Sure.
Please. It's called Following Journeys. It's on YouTube.
You don't have to rush. We have time.
Oh, it's called Following Journeys. And we follow the journeys of business leaders and entrepreneurs using their astrological chart as a foundation. And in the 30-minute show, we follow up at the end to see if what I predicted happened or not. It's the only proof of concept show that you'll find anywhere on the internet.
In your experience, how accurate has this been?
100%.
Really?
100%. I have people. Somebody says, "Oh my God, you're spending all this on production, and what if what you predict doesn't happen?" And I was like, "It's never not happened." In 11,000 people, what you live by who you are. When it's time to move, when you decide, when you get fired or you leave a job, whether it's by your own volition or it happens to you, it happens, and we can track timing. And so that's why there's always hope, because even if you're at a low point, if I can explain why you're in a low point, how long you've been in a low point, at least you have light at the end of the tunnel.
Is this the same as numerology, or is this something different?
It's a little deeper. So numerology is more it's more basic, so it goes on like nines, whereas astrology, there's thousands of combinations. Okay. Yeah. And so it's really just, it's not mystical or magical. It's simply just a bunch of numbers that I'm just analyzing, just like a financial report, to kind of see like where the turning points in your life are.
So if John wanted to get this thing read, how does he go about doing it?
So you give me your birthday,
okay,
birth time,
okay,
and birth location. Just these three things.
And then how fast can he get this reading?
Well, if it's me, you just give it to me, and if I had my thing, I would get all the data and I just start talking it. But we're also putting Alice AI onto Following Journeys website, so you can actually talk to me about your chart. But yeah, it's that instantaneous, and it's
but if someone was listening to this podcast, if they wanted to, they could go to followingjourneys.com.
Yeah, okay. And then you could get a free birth chart there, and then you could get I think it's like $10 to get a report. But pretty soon we'll have the AI on there, and then you can ask Alice AI.
About what, $10 you can get a report on?
Yeah, right now it's already doing it.
I don't know what time I was born though.
Yeah, time is important.
Look at your birth certificate.
Look that up.
That's right. It's birth certificate.
Oh.
Yeah, birth certificate.
I don't know where
The
that
majority
is.
of people in Hawaii were born in one hospital.
Yeah, and you
Well,
just
I
go to
wasn't born
Department of
here.
Health for $12, you get your birth certificate. Yeah.
But because we were born in one hospital, that location, that exact precise
Yeah.
ladder of the launch is the
Yeah.
same place, right?
What about my friend Aiden, who was born in a car?
Yeah, doesn't matter. As long as
I
it was in
don't-
Honolulu or
Oh, he
San
was in-
Francisco.
He was in
He was-
Canada.
Canada, yeah, it's the city. It's the city.
Yeah.
I don't get as
He
specific.
was born
as
on the side of the
vehicles.
leak.
Oh, yeah, they were stuck in a car in a storm or something. and
Wow,
then
really?
Mom had to give birth in the car.
Ah,
I guess
it's
that would be his
exciting.
birthplace.
That's
that
exciting.
Yeah.
location, you know.
And they had to give
Interesting.
an approximate time.
But yeah, so what's cool is like we started this show. The concept was formed in 2022, but it took a long time because we had to give the readings and then wait for their
Yeah,
lives
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
unfold so that we could add to it. So put it this way, like this girl that does beauty kind of work, I saw that she would have a business card change, right? So something's going to change about her business. She thought maybe she was going to well, she did move her business, but she ended up opening a pop-up, a Korean pop-up. So like that would have never when we were giving the reading, it wasn't in her mind. And then one thing led to another. And then all of a sudden now she has a little pop-up.
See, we all have to go pay and get the.
You
Yeah,
gotta,
yeah, I'm kind of
you should
curious
get a
now.
reading.
Why don't you get yours done?
I'm afraid.
Of what?
Having to.
She's not
Do a
gonna
what?
say like, God, you're gonna die next.
No, but
week."
No,
you
you're not gonna-
should say you cannot sell T-shirts anymore, Carl.
No, no, I wouldn't do that.
That's not how.
I think it's just a
uh,
perception that like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a little spooky, but it's really enlightening and it's kind of neat to think like, so like if you were to give me all your birth info and I came with your charts, right? And I talked about you, you would be like, oh my God, that is so life confirming. Like, oh my God, this is why I am me and this is why I am where I am. And so it gives some sort of like, oh, I'm a part of this world.
I think it's because people read the horoscopes in the newspaper.
Yeah, and it's
or
so-
look
that's
at it
super general.
online,
That's like-
or,
yeah.
or they're going, oh, Mercury's in retrograde. Oh,
Everything's
Mercury's
going
in
wrong,
retrograde,
yeah.
Everything's going wrong, and I'm going,
What?
what? And I think that's where the
misperception comes in.
It doesn't match up. So
Yeah.
when you're explaining it to me this
It's
way,
very
I'm like,
logical.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's
that makes
very logical. You would be amazed. It's not like, let me get my crystal ball and let me see what I see. It really is logical. It's just a bunch of data, and I understand like what means what and where means what, and then I am able to translate that right into a language that you
And
understand.
simplify it.
And simplify it. Yeah, take something complex and just make it work for you. It's fascinating. You know how I found it? Someone gave that to me. I wasn't a skeptic. I had no opinion on it. I went to get this reading by this gentleman and he told me 3 years in the future, in April, that my career was going to go on a different path. So at the time, Devon knows I was doing like Japan TV news. I was doing all this TV stuff. So I thought, oh, I'll be producing, go from in front of the camera to behind the camera. Well, on April 1st of the year 2000, I walked into Japan TV news and I got fired. And I'd forgotten what the astrologer said, but I wrote it in my Palm Pilot. You guys remember Palm Pilot?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So I was over at the unemployment, and they asked you how many years did you work, and you had to fill it. And so I pulled out my Palm Pilot, and the pop-up came up. The pop-up was like, astrologer says Pluto is changing the course of your career. And it was like, I'll just use this. It was like chicken skin. The heavens opened, and I just thought, I got to figure out how do I calculate someone's life? Like I was like, I need to learn this. This guy was telling me about who I am, but I was like, you read that in midweek, you saw that in the advert. I'm a public figure, and so
Yeah.
like I couldn't take that. But when he talked about the future, and I actually landed in the future that he predicted, I knew I had to do this. And so that's been my journey of just helping people understand that you're exactly in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, and nothing is wrong. Let's look to see what that next step is. And so that's why we created Following Journeys, because now everything I did behind closed doors, now you can watch on a show, because these people actually come on and I do detailed readings for them and their business, and I predict something, and then we follow up to see if it happened. So we already have 4 episodes up. Our 5th one is coming up. They're all, people around Hawaii right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
that out.
Well, first of all, thank you so
Oh,
much
my
for
pleasure.
joining us.
Yes.
But we have one more question for you.
Absolutely.
Speaking of simple, Alice, if you were stranded on a desert island
Yes.
for the rest of eternity and could only take 3 albums with you to listen to for the rest of time, music albums.
Yes.
Oh, they don't have to be music. I guess you could do comedy or, whatever. What would those 3 albums be?
Oh,
We asked this because we're technically a music channel.
Oh, yeah. So we need to do music, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Although everybody who's watching or listening right now is going, can she just do my horoscope?
Yeah. I know. Call in. Oh, sorry, it's not live. What would I bring? That is interesting. 3 albums. We probably are going to sit here all day for me to come up with them. But the first one I thought of is Carpenters.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Karen Carpenter, the human auto-tune singer
Yeah.
with perfect
She's
pitch.
amazing.
Yep.
I just enjoy them. And then I would probably pick Journey,
Okay.
Oh.
right?
Nice.
And then
Which album, Journey?
I'll just use Greatest Hits to be safe.
Okay, we'll let you slide on that one.
Yeah. just
We
use
usually don't
Great-
let you use Greatest Hits, but we'll let you slide.
Yeah. And then, gosh darn it, music, This is a really tough one. Because you
hard-
don't know it until you hear it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to do on the spot. That's why we put people on the spot.
Very interesting. Well, then I'll probably have to say, like, the Simon and Garfunkels.
Okay.
Ah.
Okay.
Even though they're before my time, just so you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally before you.
Truly.
All right. Wait. We're good, right?
Huh?
Okay. I didn't know if we were doing more readings, but she could only do a general because she doesn't have all.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
Okay,
have to
okay,
give
okay,
her all
okay,
those
okay.
Yeah, well,
stuff
you
and
can
then-
get, what's your sun sign? Do you know?
Cancer?
Cancer. So that's like me. I'm a double Cancer.
Yeah.
So Cancer
July
is
13th.
July 17th.
Okay.
So Cancer is actually more introverted, a lot more sensitive than people would imagine.
Yes.
Very,
Sensitive.
yeah, very caring.
Yeah.
Very, very caring, and very nurturing a business, nurturing a person. That caring aspect. So it's sort of it's a very much behind the scenes.
What's our downfall?
Downfall is you can be defensive when called out. Downfall could be overly sensitive and sometimes clinging on so hard that you don't want to let go. So very nostalgic. That's a good way to put it.
Oh.
Yeah. That's all this stuff.
Oh yeah,
This
That's-
is all Kyle's
and
curation.
Cancer likes collections and to collect and to retain.
Oh
yeah.
man, that is Kyle.
Yeah.
on the nose.
Wow.
Okay, what's
Jeez.
your sun sign?
I don't know. I'm
No, yeah. What's your birthday?
January 20th.
January 20th.
Some people say I'm Aquarius, but then some people put me somewhere.
No, you're probably so either Aquarius or Capricorn. Is that what they say?
I guess I don't
Yeah.
know.
So if we had your birth time, there's no such thing as a
Oh.
cusp. I would actually see the degree.
Got it.
Yeah.
I've always identified as an Aquarius.
Yeah. If you're creative, it's more likely you're Aquarius because Aquarius is an air sign. It is known as the creator. So taking thing and be like marching to the beat of your own drummer, not being like everyone else. Capricorn is more like follow the rules, be like a banker, wear a suit and tie.
Oh,
a little
that's
bit more
not me at all.
You
goal-oriented.
may have started there, but you're like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
Okay.
true. That's exactly. Aquarians usually come out later in their life to be more authentic to who they are. So to be free.
There you go.
Interesting.
Because you started as a teacher.
You know, you're right
and
on
then,
the cusp.
and then
because-
right there, you were like, no, I don't want to do this
Yeah,
anymore.
but you're weird because you're creative, but then you need things in a box.
Right.
You know, so it's
Same day.
kinda
So,
weird.
if
yeah.
you just do
Yeah.
it this way, successful.
Yeah, and so in your chart, you'll have like this sign, that sign, this sign, that sign, more of this, less of that, this planet, that planet. And so as you sort of talk through all the little signatures in your chart, that creates like composite photo of like, oh my God, that's me.
Amazing.
It is.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you guys.
Thank you.
We have to wrap up, but I want to talk more about AI. We can do that after the show.
Let's definitely get together in a year.
Okay, I'm in.
Okay. Everybody,
Okay.
thank you. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.